to the Gaming Discourse. I'm Tyler Frater alongside Richard A. the Cruz.
Hello.
And Chief Engineer Lieutenant Commander Connor Frater.
Good evening.
Before we get started today, so with the stuff that's going on in Minnesota, I kind of just wanted, I don't really have anything planned for what to say here. So it's just going to be just kind of off the cuff. I remember a few years ago when the George Floyd protests were going on, and we kind of just shared some links and just some thoughts on that. And with the killings of Renee Good and Alex Pretty, I just I don't know. I've been looking up, like trying to find like what stuff to do. You know, where are places you can donate to, where are protests you can go to, and you know that's not always easy, and it can be scary because you don't always know, or it's like you don't know if like which places are reliable, or like whatnot, whatever, because you're just jumping out of the window trying to find something to like latch onto because you're like desperate to help. So I'm not sure what to say here outside of that situation is horrible. It put me in a pretty bad mood, and there is this weird paradoxical like dissonance in playing video games or doing anything at a time like this. We have seen, like, there have been actors that have said, over the weekend, like, it's weird to talk about acting while this is going on. Mm-hmm. There have been NBA players that are like, yeah, especially for the Timberwolves and the Lynx that are like, yeah, it's weird that we're playing games right now because this feels like something that it's just, there's a dissonance there. How do you continue normal life while that kind of stuff is happening, in your streets or whatever? And I don't know. I could diagnose it, I think. This isn't happening because the United States is being overrun by immigrants or anything like that. That's a lie. This isn't happening because we're being invaded. That's a lie. This is happening, I think, largely because we have a resurgent fascist movement powered by the same nationalistic, xenophobic rhetoric that has kind of always powered fascist movements. And that's tethered to a conservative establishment that over the past 25, 30 years, as the United States has gotten more diverse, they have an existential problem, which is that for whatever reason, people of color tend not to vote for Republicans. Not always true. Not in every community. It's not 100% guarantee. But on average, that's, you look at giant cities, like how many cities in the United States tend to vote Democratic? A lot of them. There's not a lot of giant cities that are like red strongholds, right? So that's an existential problem for somebody if you're like at the Heritage Foundation or some stalwart conservative like organization. So what do you do because of that? Like, how do you fix that? Well, one thing you could do is you could pretend that we're under attack or something, because for you that's true in the sense that your ideas are dying out as people with different ideas move here. And so to me, I think that's part of it. Part of the fear is that, and part of the reason why illegal immigration has been such a massive like political wedge for as long as it has been, not necessarily because I think it's actually that impactful, but just because of demographics and what it means for voting. So yeah, I don't know how to transition. Is there anything you guys would like to say on this? You guys said like not really before, but I just want to check in one more time before we.
Yeah, and that's not. I don't want to not say anything. Or sorry, hold on.
I know what you mean.
I don't want to say anything because I don't want to. It's just I don't know what there is to be said. All of this stuff is incredibly disheartening and unbelievable to say the least. But the signs have been very obvious for the last 10 years, and everyone is ignoring them. At least those in power are ignoring them, or who can do something more than someone who is hundreds of miles away from the situation can do. And nothing is happening, and it's frustrating. And yeah, I did have personally I did have this very busy day at work. It was insanely busy day at work, and I had a passing 20-second, I can't believe I'm doing this, like feeling, which I haven't had generally in the last couple of years, but it was very powerful that day. And it's tiring. It's not going to fully tire me out, but no one is safe.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to fearmonger or anything.
No,
but
I mean, I'm married to an immigrant.
Yeah.
And her whole family is a family of immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't that long ago that half of Connor and I's family were immigrants.
Yeah.
Okay, our great-grandfather, great-great-grandfather, whatever it is, came from Germany in like the late 1800s. So yeah, like this hits close to home too, and it's scary and it sucks. And yeah, I think, I don't know, I was trying to, I don't know, do something good for somebody. I don't know, text somebody, check in on them, whatever, like for bare minimum stuff. But other than that, like, yeah, there are, go to a protest, do what you can. But I'm not somebody that like has, like, I'm not somebody that is like equipped to give detailed instructions on how to handle any of this. Yeah, Connor, is there anything you'd like to mention before we get out of here?
No, I think we're good.
No? Okay, cool. We will transition out of that. We will talk about video games. We have Ubisoft story. So, I mean, what is better to transition out of a real topic than to just make
Ubisoft,
fun of...
always a source of levity.
Just make fun of Yves Guillemot, how stupid the Yves Guillemot is. It's gonna be a fun time once we get there, and we'll talk ad-supported Xbox Cloud streaming in a little bit. But let's do what we've been playing. Connor,
yes,
I'm excited for you to discuss the game that you've been playing because you talked about it before the show a little bit.
So before I get into that one, I finished Rogue Trader.
Oh, you
awesome.
finished Rogue Trader.
Congrats.
Yes.
Nice.
I
Congratulations.
did end up having to go back a save because Owlcat games, which Owlcat's the developer, are notoriously buggy.
Okay.
And I completed a quest line for a character, but it quest log, everything, checked it off. And I went to the final mission. He was like, hey, I got to go check on my guys. I can't go with you. I'm like, but we dealt with that already.
No.
So I had to go back, redo it, go to the last mission.
It's like
Lord.
that Patrick meme where it's like, this is the quest log. Yep.
Yeah.
It says completed. Yep. I got to go take care of things. But it says right here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I ended up getting what's considered all like the good endings for companions and the character. So ultimately, it is a very fun game. I don't want to talk about it too much. There's some things some like big spoilers that really just come to fruition at the very end of the game that once you know it, looking back, you're like, oh, the signs were all there.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. And yeah, if you're going to play it, definitely play it. Save backups, backup your saves.
Save frequently,
Owlcat is buggy. They're buggy games, and the deeper you get in with the more stuff, the more buggy it gets.
Is there Switch copies of Rogue Trader?
I don't know.
Okay. Just curious because...
Steam Deck.
Yeah, I mean...
I know, but the thing... See, that's the problem. So this is first world problem is I got a Switch 2 for my birthday a couple months ago. And so it's like, Hades 2, I'm going to play that on the Steam Deck. Or I could get it for the Switch 2. It's going to run just as good, and I get a physical copy.
So I will say, if you do plan on playing it, there is a mod for it so that you can go in and like tick things off so that it triggers in game that you've done certain things.
You could just
you don't have to go back and redo a mission to get that.
Right.
Wow,
Yeah.
it's that common, huh?
Yes.
Oh, geez. Okay. Well, yeah. That's another problem that would steer me back toward the Steam Deck or toward PC is you can't really do modding on a well, you can't on a Switch unless you're a badass like Richard who's always cracking them open and jailbreaking them.
Only certain models.
Okay. So Connor, what is the other game?
The other game, The Seance at Blake Manor.
Yeah.
It is a turn of the century investigative detective game happening at a spooky manor in the west of Ireland, and it is some of the most fun detective game I have had. This includes like Turn of the Oberdin and like LA Noire to an extent.
It's fun for its own reasons.
Yeah. Keep just Hammer X. But this one, you genuinely get to resolve the mysteries yourself. you it'll tell you like how many clues you found, and at a certain point you can like make a hypothesis of what happened. But if you don't have the right information, you don't have the right information.
Okay.
And each of the clues, because it'll give you like a hypothesis of like so and so blank with blank, like it. You just fill in the blanks. When you go to select it, the keywords from the clues change to fit in that slot. So even it's not just looking at them like, oh, this one's obviously a motive, this one's obviously a weapon, this one's obviously a person. They change contextually based on where you're trying to put them in the sentence.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. And so feasibly, they can all work in certain areas, but there is, absolute answers. And with it being a seance, there's ghosts abound. And there are jump scares in the game, but it's not in your face, loud noises, right? Like jumping out at you, jump scares. It's you turn a corner and a apparition of a ghost is actively disappearing. And it's just this flash of you see a skeletal figure, then it's gone.
Effective jump scares. Yeah.
Or you walk down a hallway and you hear something move behind you and you turn around and all the statues are now facing you. Yeah. And then when you come back to that hallway, it never happens again.
We were just talking about how how if you do jump scares well, how good that can be, and how easy it is to like do jump scares poorly, and how ineffective that can be. Just this past year, what's the game? What's the sci-fi horror game that Routine? Thank you. The one that I completely forgot the name of. Apparently, Routine had a jump scare that got me big time. I mean, I said like holy shit at like the top of my lungs. But it didn't feel cheap at all. It felt the way it like drew me in, the way it was completely unexpected. So a good jump scare is almost refreshing in a strange way when it's not overused. So that's cool, especially with its art style.
It's that like semi-cel shaded. The characters are semi-sprite like. They'll keep facing you till you hit a certain point, and then they snap to a direction. You get a different view of them. And with it being the late 1800s, everything's just a lot quieter and creepier. And there's I've put 4 or 5 hours into it, and I've figured out some things, but I have so many loose threads, and they're all tied in somehow.
Interesting. Okay. Sounds awesome. Richard.
It is once again time for me to play a brand new free-to-play gacha game. It's come out, so in standard Richard fashion. But it's free, so hey, I don't have to pay anything for it. But I started to play Arknight's Enfield, which just came out on Monday? Last Monday. No, last Thursday. I can't remember when. It doesn't matter.
Time is an illusion.
But time is an illusion. But it is the, I guess, major sequel to the cell phone game Arknights, which was a not tabletop. Oh my god, tower defense. It was a tower defense game. Okay. So it was like you'd get gotcha characters that did different things. The one had like bow and arrow and stuff like that. And of course, tower defense. However, this one is more designed like the modern gotcha games we see, Wuthering Waves, Genshin Impact, etc. So I started playing it because I do enjoy the character models. They're pretty diverse. Instead of if I were to play something like Honkai Star Rail or Genshin, it's like, oh, that person's an elf. That person has some like wolf ears, whatever. In Arknights, there's that is an actual lizard person, or that's just a straight up owl person. Or there are some characters who have like bird wings like on their head and stuff like that. Okay. So the characters are a little more diverse, which is more attractive, like from a world building aspect of it. And it has that like sci-fi futuristic draw that I like. But as I am playing through it, and all of the trappings are there in the sense of like the action-based combat and the exploration. Something I didn't expect to show up was inklings of Factorio.
Oh, okay.
And so I don't know what the overall basis of the story is yet because I'm still clawing into that, but we are rebuilding things to an extent. And so you will come up to little pockets of areas that you can set down beacons that will give you electricity for certain areas where you can then put lots of different things. Like you could put like another battery that you can build a line 80 meters out from there to power something down the line. And it's like,
that
oh,
starts
cool.
a dangerous game.
It sure does, yeah. And so, like, unfortunately, because it's open world and there's things to unlock, it's like, well, there's this thing that I obviously know needs power, and I'm this far from it. So can I get a beacon right here? And then just Death Stranding style as well. Speaking of which, there are like the co-op aspect of it is you will find people who have made things in the world like a zip line, and it's like, hey, do you want to help like repair this?
So you can give it some resources.
Yeah, and then you can, and it's like, oh wow, great. And so it had a little bit of that, which I was like, wow, okay, this is a good draw for those who have the mind for it. And you'll find pockets of like mineral ore that you can set down a refinery, like a small refinery on it, and then you can come back to it whenever you want. It's like, hey, I got 100 more for you, and it's like, cool. But there are some that you can't because you need to unlock the type of ore that it is. You need to unlock the building schematic for that thing, et cetera, et cetera. So as I was playing through and, you know, kind of exploring and figuring things out, I got to a point in the story where I came across a settlement that was being overrun by whatever villains there are, and you save them, and your team goes, hey, well, we can turn this into like another small pocket base for like further out, to reach further out. And once you do that, it then introduces you into the belts. Conveyor belt. Like it's like, hey, the ore, you can make a trail to the conveyor belt to this thing to there, and it's like
very satisfactory.
Okay, yeah. So it was like, all right, great. So so I just got done doing that, and then while I was doing that, it's like, well, hey, this place needs protection too. So you can put up some gun turrets, but make sure they're powered by the thing that, you know. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is
yeah, that gets dangerous.
Yeah, it gets dangerous, but it is nice to have. It's eye rolly to hear somebody speak about another free gacha game, but it's like, oh, cool, you guys are now taking a hyperfixation that you may have liked, Factorio or something, and then kind of blending the other things that you like together to make this a whole new thing. So I don't know how deep the Factorio hole goes, but it is fun to try to unlock things to do by making your like reach further and further. So I'm having fun with that one. That's it.
Factory hole, if you will.
Yes.
Satisfactory doesn't really, I don't think it really works there. I remember when I first played Satisfactory, I started my base at the edge of a cliff, and I was like, oh, this will be cool. Nice little scenic view for my, of course, like naive baby Tyler, like, nice little view for my factory. And within 15 hours, I've got all kinds of death traps because I had to build out past the cliff. So I've got like floors of buildings overlapping, and I've got like random holes where if I fall through it, you just fall off the cliff and die.
No.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just be like working, hammering something, turn around, run, and I just slide and miss a lip of one of my floors, and I just fly off down to the bottom of the cliff. It's like, yep. It's just, there's some foreman that's like, we lose a few every month, Anyway, okay, so oh my god, new guy in the corner peeking his guts out. So what have I been playing?
What have you been playing? Yeah, what have you been playing?
Okay, so I defeated Kronos for the first time in Hades 2, and it doesn't. I like Hades 2. Hades 2 is fun, but it just does not feel.
Does it have that same hit?
No, because when I first beat Hades in Hades, I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Like that, like fighting Hades was a big deal. He kicked your ass the first couple times.
Yeah.
Fighting Kronos is like relatively easy. And I defeated Kronos. It does the same thing where the game restarts, whatever, because it's a roguelike. So it's like, okay. So now I just defeated Kronos for the first time, so there's going to be major changes to the game.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it just feels like that's it. Like that, it felt so much easier than Hades. And it didn't feel as bitier. It didn't feel as, there wasn't as much flavor. And I talked about this. I made a video about my favorite games of 2025. And I think it basically comes down to like this. So in the first Hades is a really interesting villain, right? Because he's sympathetic, and there's a lot of resentment that he has that I think he doesn't think Zagreus could understand. So he's not even going to deal with Zagreus, right? There's a thing where he's like, you know what? You're my son, but you're too young to understand my life. And so I don't want to mess with you, kind of thing. You're a kid. You're not going to understand my pain. So he has this resentment toward his life, and that has created a distance between him and Zagreus. And then Zagreus he's rebellious, but he also, I think, is resentful of how Hades treats him. So there's all this interesting interpersonal conflict that is also a father and son story. All kinds of interesting stuff there. And it's a family drama too, because it's about a son trying to get to his mother, right? And it's about Hades having to deal with not being able to see his wife and understanding that Zagreus is getting there to see her. So it all that stuff, fascinating. Okay, in Hades 2, Kronos is the main villain. Now, technically, Melanoi is also Hades' daughter. So Kronos is Melanoi's grandfather. So he is related, but there isn't anywhere near that same level of like familial drama or connection. Yeah. Because Kronos is a villain because he's just the bad guy who wants to like take over the world.
Right.
As opposed to Hades, who is a villain who doesn't want Zagreus to leave because he's like, because of his resentfulness, because of his anger. Yeah. It's more complicated than just, I'm a bad guy, right?
Yes, yeah, very much so.
It's more interesting. And that makes him a much more interesting character. Where Kronos is just a powerful bad guy who wants to... But again, I've only defeated Kronos once, so I don't know if there is more to unveil. I'm waiting for a twist, and I don't know if that twist is coming, but I keep waiting for a twist. Like, is there anything else here? Because if this is the game, I feel kind of like they didn't do anything new or different. It's a complete sidestep.
Yeah.
Because, and it was also very easy compared to
really?
Hades. Yeah, there's these weapons, these dual flame weapons where Melanoi holds 2 torches. And as soon as I unlocked that and figured out a few other things that I wanted, it was just, I breezed through like a lot of the combat. It got much easier. Maybe not everybody, maybe I'm just good with that weapon and maybe people prefer other weapons. I don't know, but it just felt like that weapon was light years better than all the other weapons. Did not feel like that in Hades. It felt like all the weapons were relatively balanced well. Even like the gun you get has like drawbacks and stuff like that. Not so much here. The writing is still good. I mean, the characters are still interesting, but again, like one of the major changes to Hades 2 is resources. So instead of picking up boons, you still pick up boons, but when you choose a room, you'll often get a choice between 2 resources, which that's just not a fun choice that you can spend to like upgrade like your starting area, you know?
Okay.
And that's just not a fun choice because it's like, well, I'll get both of these resources eventually. So there's really no reason to pick one over the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unless you're trying to build something specifically or you're collecting resources for a specific upgrade, then you're on the lookout for specific resources. But in my time playing, it's just like, you know, if you go on 5 runs, you're going to collect enough resources to start upgrading stuff. I was never in a position where I was like, oh, I really need to upgrade this. Oh, I found this thing. I really need to upgrade this. Never felt like that.
Right.
So, I don't know. I would still recommend it to people that enjoyed the first Hades. Another thing that I missed was, like, the way the gods were portrayed in the first Hades. They were so colorful and ridiculous, and and they were also so evil, right? You meet Dionysus, and he's like, "What's up, Zag?" And he's like drunk. And he's got wine.
Yeah, very two-faced.
But
very,
then you do something that makes him mad.
Oh yeah,
and
that's
they're
right.
so
That's
petty
right. Yeah,
and so vindictive, Or Athena.
So Olympian.
Yeah, so
Olympian,
like Athena, she's like the goddess of wisdom, and she comes across like very erudite, and then you piss her off, and she's just as petty as like, as Ares or Zeus or something like that, you know? So it's just that contrast that makes the characters fun, that makes them ridiculous, almost cartoonishly ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
How high they hold themselves. And yeah, very Olympian. That's sort of the point. And this one, the gods like don't get mad at you because you never have to pick one or the other. And they're always talking about things that are happening off screen. So it's just not as interesting. Again, it's just, I should expound on that. It's not as interesting. Well, what does that mean? But I guess in this one, it's just the gods, they're a little bit flatter of characters because they don't, at one point, Zeus is like, Zagreus, you're the best. And then you piss him off and he's like, Zagreus, I'm disappointed in you. He's like arrogant and condescending, and you get to see that other side of him. But in this one, Zeus is always just that one Zeus, where he's just, haha, yes, haha, continue on, take this. There's no like other side of Zeus where you're like, whoa, he's a real asshole. You know he is, but you don't see it displayed like you do in the first one.
Do you think that's a consequence of having Cronus as the villain? Because my base knowledge of Greek mythology is like, Cronus is like, no, we got to stop this fucker. Because he's like one of the giants, right? Or not giants, Titans. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a Titan. So he's the Titan of time.
Yeah.
And so the Titans were greater than the gods. And then and then eventually
Zeus defeated them.
Zeus and Poseidon and Hades defeated Kronos, right? And they captured him and put him in a jail cell. And so Kronos has always been portrayed as like he always wants his revenge.
Right.
Because his sons betrayed him.
Yeah.
So I know what you're saying.
So is it a consequence because they're all just like, well, we just need to help you to get rid of this guy.
That's what it's kind of like. And it's just not that interesting because they're all just they all have one singular goal instead of just being there for the fun of watching Zagreus screw with the underworld, So I don't know. I would still recommend it because the combat does get really good. The bosses are awesome. There's a boss that's a Scylla, the siren. Because she's a siren, she sings during her boss fight, but she has a funny band with her. Cool. Very reminiscent of the Minotaur and who's the guy that defeated the Minotaur and he went to Elysium with him.
I can't remember.
He's a famous.
He's the pretty boy. He's the pretty
boy, and the Minotaur's like, let's get this over with. Like he clearly doesn't like him.
No, never
it's
mind.
not a Aeneas. Is it Aeneas? I don't know. But anyway, so in this one, Scylla, the siren, she sings, and she has a band, a drummer and a guitarist.
Okay.
And so your fight is their like set piece. They're set. They're
cool.
like singing. And if you take out the drummer, the drums drop from the soundtrack. So it's just the guitar and her singing.
All right, I like that.
And the drummer has specific attacks where if you take out the drums, those attacks are gone.
They stop.
And then the guitar player has certain attacks where if you take out the guitar, those attacks are gone.
Okay.
And once you take out the guitar and the drums, it's just Scylla singing. And it's kind of eerie because it's just her voice.
That's it, yeah.
So it's really neat. Like that's a really cool boss fight. But yeah, it's just like the first boss fight is similar to the first one in that you fight somebody who you kind of know. And you kind of have like not a villainous relationship with them. I won't spoil anything. But in the first Hades, that first boss fight would change every now and then. You would get, I forget who it was you would fight, but it's the girl that you would meet around that office area where Hades was. And then every now and then her sisters would appear there, and her sisters were like slightly different. Mm-hmm. So it would change up that first boss fight. And this one, it's just that same boss fight that you get the first time, which is disappointing because that seems like a downgrade from the design of the first game, where it was like an alternate version of the first boss, but with new attacks. So you kind of had to be ready for that. So yeah, I mean, I've liked it. I've enjoyed it. I'll probably go through it again and defeat Kronos again and see what happens. But I just don't feel as fulfilled. I don't feel. Yeah, and it sounds like I really dislike it, and that's a bad game. It's not. It's good. It's really good. But the performances are outstanding for some of the... Amelia Tyler, who is the narrator in Baldur's Gate 3, she plays a prominent character in this one, and she's great. She's so good. Melanoy, the actress that plays Melanoy, excellent. All the gods are good. I'm trying to think of other characters, other new characters. There's like Odysseus is in it this time, and Odysseus is played by somebody who's really good. Nemesis is she's like your rival, Melanoy's rival / love interest. She's a giant step on me badass, right? So you guys understand.
Just like Megara.
Yes, exactly. Megara, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah. So I don't know. I guess that I'll just leave it at that. I'll
0 out of 10. You hate it.
A 0 out of 10. I hate it. Supergiant should close down. I shouldn't make that joke because Jesus Christ. Okay. We will move on to the news. Thanks for listening. If you like our content, please consider subscribing or leaving a like and comment. You can find us at patreon.com/thegaming discourse. And our tiers are $2, $4, $7, and $10 and include getting your name in the video credits, early access, and access to our Discord server. Ubisoft is shaking lots of things up. Ubisoft has announced delays, a final round of cuts, and the details of its restructure. If you remember, last year, Ubisoft announced that this restructure was going to happen. They announced Vantage Studios then. So now we're getting the full details of what specifically is going to happen. So there are 5 creative houses, each with their own brands / genres, as well as their own profit and loss. And it seems like they have a little bit more autonomy than what Ubisoft has had in the past. Vantage Studios, which is the studio that got funding from Tencent, they're doing Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Rainbow Six. As a result of the restructuring, the Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake, along with 6 other games, including 3 new IPs, have been canceled. Beyond Good and Evil 2 apparently is still a thing, which is interesting. One part of the announcement I didn't see reported too many places refers to generative AI. I'm just going to read it. So this is from the Ubisoft's announcement themselves. The new operating model will further empower the execution of the group's strategy centered on open-world adventures and games-as-a-service native experiences supported by targeted investments, including deeper specialization and cutting-edge technology, including accelerated investments behind player-facing generative AI. So that is a very corporate, like, melt your eyes out paragraph, but there are a few targeted investments being one, and player-facing generative AI another that I think is worth talking about. In an interview with GamesIndustry.biz's John Hicks, Frederick Duget, who I forgot to put down his title, an executive for Ubisoft, was asked if all this ultimately meant that Ubisoft would be making fewer games at a higher quality. Duget said, quote, "Indeed, we are reducing the number of products so that we have the best core teams for each and every product in each and every genre. And so that requires us to be deep and narrow, and that's the purpose of this reset." Okay. I have a few thoughts. Mostly it's just an annoyance. It seems like Ubisoft devs aren't happy with how a lot of this is shaking out. There's also a return to office mandate that appears to have surprised some Ubisoft devs because it seemed like they had not been given much notice that suddenly they were going to have to return to office as much as they thought they were going to have to. And of course, that starts the debate of, well, these people say, the executives say because it makes for better team cohesion. And the developers say, no, it doesn't. So who do you believe? Anyway, yeah, you guys, what do you guys think? I'll bring up the... sorry, I was talking to myself. So yeah, I have the 5 creative houses in front of me, including Vantage Studios. So sorry, what do you guys think?
The biggest hit, obviously, is Prince of Persia remake. A lot of people were incredibly excited about that, and I think that's one of the games and franchises from 2 generations ago now that I don't want to say would benefit from a remake, but is a game that I think people would probably enjoy playing again in like a modern type of setting remake. And from reports, it does sound like the game was pretty much almost finished with just some bugs needing to be shaken out. But it is unfortunate because I think one of the voice actress for I forgot her name, but the main character of Prince of Persia came out and kind of was pretty saddened by the fact that she kind of spent 3 years working on this thing and then just kind of fell to the wayside, especially since she said, I think 3 months ago, she just finished marketing stuff, like marketing filming for it as well.
Okay.
So they're all kind of blindsided by it. I have no idea what the hell Ubisoft is doing. We don't know what any of the studios nowadays are doing. It's all about money, of course, is what it can boil down to. But nobody has learned yet that video games need to be weird again. There needs to be more chances taken, and there needs to be more compromises when it comes to the time you spend on making a game and your output of the game. Because I remember years ago when we got that trilogy of like Tomb Raider Go and Hitman Go. Do you remember those things?
That's vaguely
they were Android games, but they were very, very neat and weird one-off games. You basically had to complete levels as like Laura or Agent 47, but you had to make the precise amount of moves because every tap you would push would make them go down the pathway. But there's a lot of games. Splinter Cell is one that we could talk about all day. Like how many types of games they can make Splinter Cell into and get a good return on it if they wanted. How many franchises we were talking about before the podcast that they have that they just are letting fester like out and about. They could have made a For Honor 2 by now.
Yes.
Yeah. Sure, it's great that it's. Is it free to play now? I can't remember.
I think so. I think there's
sure it's great that it's great that there's an audience and people still enjoy it, but what are we doing here?
So there's a lot of stuff in this that I think is interesting. One is the it's okay, so it feels like to me that Vantage Studios was given everything that they care about to an extent, and everything else is sort of piled into other groups. And I have read speculation that part of the reason it was done this way is to make layoffs and cuts easier, because now you're better able to define where the sections of your company are that are cutting it short or whatever.
Sure.
Right? Because now they're siloed into these things with their own profit and loss, so it's easier to make those determinations if everything isn't balled together, I guess, which I thought was an interesting. Rob Fahey wrote a piece in Games Industry about that I thought was interesting. I don't know what they mean by behind player-facing generative AI. This is something that Ubisoft has done over the past 10 years, is they've followed stupid trends. They were like, why don't you guys want NFTs, right? And everybody rolled their eyes, and it was condescending and really annoying. They tried XDefiant, which should never have been a thing, which grew out from what was, I guess, a Splinter Cell game at one point, and it turned into something that they decided, oh yeah, we could compete with Call of Duty, a cultural phenomenon, we could do that, and that didn't work out. So it's like a complete waste of time and resources that could have been spent on on other things. The other problem with Ubisoft is that I don't know how much of it is I don't know. I don't know who to blame for some of it. For example, for Star Wars Outlaws. Star Wars Outlaws was just really bland. Does that have to do with Yves Guillemot? I don't know. I don't think so. He didn't work on Star Wars Outlaws directly, right? So it's there's just a lack of new stuff. The latest Assassin's Creed was fine. Assassin's Creed Shadows, it was pretty good. There was some really good combat. There were some really interesting side quests. But for the most part, the open world was massive and kind of uninteresting, right? Which is something you could say for a lot of different Assassin's Creed games. So it's just the same sorts of problems. Ghost Recon is just a really bad third-person shooter, or a really generic third-person shooter. So it's why are these games and these properties where is it? Where is the system breaking that these are the results? Far Cry 6. Really bland shooter, really bland open world shooter was Far Cry 6, right? which was a franchise that used to be innovative and cool and do like interesting things. Now it's just again a generic open world shooter. So it's like, is it are these things being like market tested in or not market tested, focus grouped to hell and just whittled away into generic like nonsense? I don't know what's happening, but somewhere in that process is a system that's broken and it needs to be fixed somehow. And I don't know who to blame for that, if there is like specifically one person to blame. The other thing is, I think like you mentioned, like with Splinter Cell, I don't know, the Splinter Cell remake has been I think we first heard about it in like 2019. And I know making video games is hard. Like I know, but it's just when I played the first Splinter Cell, it just seems so like, I don't know, if I were to pick games that I thought would be really difficult to be remade, Splinter Cell doesn't really seem like it'd be a difficult game to be remade. A linear stealth game where you don't have a ton of combat or anything like that, I don't know. Again, I'm not a game developer, so maybe it'd be super complex, but like we've gotten multiple Resident Evils that have been remade since then, and they've been good. So like, and I don't want to say Capcom has the same resource. Maybe Capcom has like 10 times the number of employees and resources that Ubisoft has.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it's just an obvious solution, like get Splinter Cell up and going again. Ubisoft just hasn't been able to do. And it's like, well, why? What is the diagnosis of that problem? Splinter Cell is in Creative House 2, which is offering competitive and cooperative shooter experience, which includes Ghost Recon, The Division, and Splinter Cell for some reason. So, I don't know. Is it nitpicking to say why is Splinter Cell in the same thing as Ghost Recon and The Division? Because those are three completely different games. Like those games don't share. The only thing they share is ostensibly is gun and ostensibly Tom Clancy. Other than that, like they don't share anything. So it's like, what is it? Just seems like where do we put these ones? I don't know. Throw them into Creative House 2.
Michael Ironside ever voiced anyone in Ghost Recon?
He voiced Sam Fisher.
Well, in Ghost Recon.
Yeah, Sam Fisher was in.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was.
Ghost Recon.
Okay. Wildlands. There's your other tie.
Yeah. Ghost Recon Wildlands.
That's why he's there. That's why that's what Splinter Cell's there.
Okay. And then the other thing is, so Frederick Duget, when he says fewer games. So man, okay. I've heard. Everything I've read is everybody's like, Jesus Christ, we need to make cheaper games, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's more games that are cheaper, whatever, right? So you have more things to sell at slimmer budgets, smaller risks.
Yeah.
And Ubisoft is like, no, fuck that. We're gonna make fewer games. And apparently, if you make fewer games and on smaller budgets, then that's just gonna lower your market totally, right?
Yes.
So you couldn't do that. So I assume, and because these are like high quality, I would assume that means fewer games with big budgets. But that's what you've already been doing, Ubisoft. You've had one Assassin's Creed in the past 25 years. Like that's
now they're going to release half a game a year, and sell you piecemeal the rest of it.
Like, so I don't know. It seems to It seems to go against the current industry like wisdom. Whether or not the industry actually decides to do the thing, the slim down, figure out how to make games on smaller budgets, that kind of thing. Whether or not that actually happens, it seems to go against that wisdom, which annoys me because it's just I don't know. It just seems so stupid, and it just seems so counterproductive to even think about that. So I don't know, man. I think with their mention of external. Let me read the quote again. Their mention of targeted investments, right? That's what they got from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
They got a targeted investment from the Savvy group, right? On this like DLC for Assassin's Creed Mirage, as weird as it is. So I don't know where else you're going to get targeted investments like that unless you're getting targeted investments from like I don't know what other what other investment groups you're going to get from that aren't like private equity companies that aren't really interested in video games, because the Savvy Group is interested in video games ostensibly, right? And the Crown Prince like ostensibly enjoys video games, so that's like a specific thing as they try and diversify their portfolio. But like, if KKR or Blackstone or whatever, any of these private equity groups, like if they decide to give Ubisoft money, like none of those, crusty white dudes at the heads of those private equity firms give a shit about video games. So how is that going to impact the investment there? So that just seems like I don't know. Is that sustainable to continually look for more Tencents and savvy business groups to take money from so that you can do like specific weird things with the money that they give you? Like, I don't know if that's a viable strategy to go forward with. And so, yeah, and I don't know. It's been a rocky few years for Ubisoft, and it just seems like it's just more of that. And I don't, obviously it's a systemic problem. So it's not something where everything is one person's fault. It's not something where, getting rid of Yves Guillemot would fix everything. Obviously.
It's not one person's fault, but one person can change it.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. But I have to say, like, the reason Skull and Bones happened was a massive systemic and managerial failure, right?
Yeah.
It's like a failed state. Where a country fails, you can't really blame it on one dude.
It's so weird too, because Skull and Bones is like this weird example of Resident Evil particularly has a mode called Mercenaries mode, and the entire time that mode has existed, I've been like, give me that. I want that game, just that. And they did on 3DS, and I was like, no, but I got it, but better. Yes, Call of Duty Zombies mode, like just give me that. Just $20, $30, just give me that. And so Black Flag came out, and we were like, that we want that, and they said no.
What if we take that idea? Do it worse.
Yeah, but do it way worse. Yeah, did it way worse. And yeah, it was somehow just another example of like the creative leads or whoever runs the ship not listening to the very obvious demands of the consumers.
Yeah.
That's also a big problem as well, because those people who listen to consumers are only listening to the loudest ones, who are always wrong, and not the ones who have like
nuance.
Nuance. And so now this is like the reason why, I mean, there's probably a lot of reasons, but it's like we're getting a remake of Black Flag. And it's like,
which is
I love Black Flag. It's great, but Black Flag is available on Xbox One, and it's available on PS4, and I can still play those on the brand new consoles, and they're very good. They're perfectly fine. I would like to see, obviously we all would like to see a remake of Splinter Cell, but they also could just make a new game. But they aren't.
And I'd be okay with that. I would. The thing is, Splinter Cell, it's been gone for so long,
Mm-hmm.
and there isn't a game like Splinter Cell around right now.
No, there isn't.
The original Splinter Cells. So it's like if you just made a new Splinter Cell game,
yeah,
and instead of it being a remake, you just rebooted the franchise, then it'd be that would be fine with me. It's not that I specifically want a remake of the first game specifically. Right. It's just that give me the ethos of the first Splinter Cell. We need a modernization of that, just like how Resident Evil 2 was sort of a modernization of the ethos of Resident Evil 2, right?
It sure was.
With some like changes or whatever. But it's if, and I think the other thing about Ubisoft is like, it's again with why I saw it's someone in a comment section somewhere described their games as aggressively mediocre, and it's like, yeah, in a lot of ways you were correct. And why is that? By design? I don't know. Is that because Ubisoft, like the way that they develop games, they try to make them like mass market, content heavy behemoths that will like engage different people's brains when it comes to like checkmarky open world design. So that, I don't know. So that's why so many of their games become really generic and really flat, like, because that's sort of the driving force behind their like design motivation. Because if so, then that's something that should be fixed, because we have seen in the past that people love playing new, weird, difficult types of games. Elden Ring, Baldur's Gate 3, those are mass market titles, right? And they're not games that you would think are mass market titles, but they are. So you can make games with crunchy mechanics or more player unfriendly design, right?
Yeah.
And especially if you give it accessibility options or difficulty options, you can still have successful games that meet wide audiences. You don't have to water things down and make them palatable to this imagined audience to this imagined casual audience, Yes, there are loads of casual players out there who play Madden and FIFA and don't, play a lot of different stuff. But I also think at the same time, there's more of a number of those people who also will, dip their toes into Elden Ring and enjoy it than there ever has been, right? But again, is Ubisoft doing that on purpose? Is that a part of their like design ethos, or is it just happenstance that all their games are aggressively mediocre? I don't know. That's a tough thing to diagnose. And I think that's one of the larger problems at Ubisoft. Larger than like, oh, look, which house is this fucking IP in? That's not really the problem, Yves. Like, the bigger problem is that, you can't seem to like make a really, at one point, like Ubisoft, like, okay, between 2006 and like 2010, think about the goddamn games that came out then, right? Assassin's Creed. Sure, some people didn't like it. It was repetitive, but the first Assassin's Creed, there was nothing like it, right?
Yes.
Far Cry 2 and 3. Far Cry 3 came out in like 2012. Far Cry 2 and 3. Like, Far Cry 2, nothing like it to this day, right? Not a perfect game, nothing like it. Far Cry 3 basically invented the generic open world design, but it was the first time that anybody had seen it, right?
Yeah.
And that was, and the predecessor of that was like Assassin's Creed 2, right? So there was a period of like 5 years where Ubisoft was just like, I just innovated. Want to see me do it again? Like, they just couldn't help. And before that, Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, which is heralded as one of the best, stealth action games of all time, which it is, right? And one of the most innovative. And it's just like, I don't know. I hate to just sound like a YouTube commenter, but just do more of that. Like, do more of that. Make the next Far Cry weirder and not as like generic. I don't need to be able to get a tank 5 minutes into the game. I'll be okay. Like, just make it grittier and stranger and make it feel like closer to Far Cry 2, where it was like, I don't know, where I felt like I was lost in a crazy wilderness or something like that. I don't know. Is there anything else we would like to say about this?
They did Tom Clancy's Hawks.
Oh, yeah, that's another one.
We don't have I saw the trailer for Ace Combat 8 again today, and I was like, wow, we don't have very many fighter pilot games.
Did you like Hawks?
Yeah, Hawks was solid. Yeah.
I never played
I still prefer Ace Combat, because Ace Combat has that, like, more Top Gunny, unrealistic,
Yes, ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay. Ad-supported Xbox cloud streaming may be coming soon. Xbox confirmed last year that it was conducting internal tests for free. That was to the New York Times. For a free ad-supported cloud streaming service. Tom Warren reported in October that Microsoft was getting ready to announce it, so we may be getting close. According to Warren, at the time, the free ad-supported version includes the ability to stream some games you own, as well as eligible free play day titles and Xbox Retro Classics games. The testing includes 2 minutes of pre-roll ads before streaming, and the testing was limited to 1 hour per session and up to 5 free hours a month. Well, Tom Warren, just over the weekend or a few days ago, time as a flat circle, recently spotted a teaser for an ad-supported cloud gaming with a notice at the bottom that says 1 hour of ad-supported playtime per session. Okay, so... All right. So cloud gaming really hasn't taken off yet.
Uh-huh.
So I'm not even sure like how to think of this like an ad-supported free tier where you could essentially, I guess you just trial a game for free after watching some ads. But would that become anybody's like main way of playing games?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, especially because cloud streaming itself isn't anyone's main.
It's bad.
Even if you made it, I don't know if you made it free.
It's very strange because Xbox's whole ecosystem relies on you having Game Pass.
Yeah.
So, like PlayStation, like, yeah, it might hurt a little bit to not have PS Plus, but you don't need it. You absolutely don't need it.
Yeah.
But Xbox, like, I feel when I use Xbox, it's like, yeah, I kind of need Game Pass. So I don't know how many people would use it. But this feels more in line with somebody who would want to play a quick game for like 5 minutes before they do something else, rather than someone who's going to sit there for an extended amount of time. But either way, like, I'm very old man about this because I kind of have this, like, the inverse problem on Twitter. When I go on, there's just so many people just like shoving the fact that I should be paying YouTube Premium like in my face. They're like, YouTube Premium is like the best way to go. Like, instead of like paying for Spotify or whatever.
Let me tell you something.
Hold on.
Those people do not exist.
Oh, probably not. Yes. Yeah, probably not. But so I sit there and I go, no, YouTube was free. It's free. Like, I don't need to do it. It's free. And so like now it's like I pay for Game Pass, but there's like free ad to like pay for Game Pass. And I'm like, no, why am I going to do that? I pay for Game Pass and not have ads. So I don't know why somebody would do, but I'm not people who would consume it. So
yeah, so I honestly have no idea if it would be successful or not, or if a paid ad tier would be successful. I have no idea. And also, like, who knows how it would look. One thing I will say is that I have not warmed up to the idea of the cloud at all. Just yesterday, I was hanging out with somebody on Discord.
Were you? Were they real?
And they were real,
okay,
actually.
Cool.
They were definitely realer than 90% of the people on Twitter. Which, why are you still on there?
What?
Let me give you a tip.
Okay.
Sticking a fork into your eye. There are medical documents out there. Studies have been done. People that stick forks into their eyes enjoy their lives 90% more than people that view Twitter.
I got to tell you what, I block almost every single person I see that has a slightly right-winging, opinion. I get very cool indie game suggestions that I just told you about before we started. And two, I now have a string of people who are feeding me very high quality movie downloads from places that is very nice.
I feel like if I followed you into Twitter, it'd be like following a stalker into the zone. You'd be like a guy that I see like some crazy right wing guy strung up somewhere, and you just have like a cigarette, and you're like, I banned him the other day. It's like, God damn. You're like, follow me and I will take you to the archive of games that only me and you like.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, Jesus. I got to follow this guy that knows how to survive Twitter. Shit.
Those guys know their stuff, man.
What was I gonna say before I made fun
I don't know.
of you?
Yeah, you're making fun of me. So I'm just sitting here.
I apologize. I know. Oh, so I was on Discord with somebody.
Oh, right.
Discord just,
Tony Soprano, right?
Yeah, Tony. It's like, welcome to Tony Plays, and Discord just in the words of my great grandpa Vinny, Discord took a dump. All of a sudden, Discord just went kaput, right?
They found you,
and the internet went dead, and for whatever reason. So how many times has that happened to you where a service just dies or something for like a couple
every day at work?
Yeah.
Right?
You're right.
So it's just like, that can't be the future for this, like, cloud solution cannot be the solution for video games. And I think it's a part of like Microsoft's larger idea where it's like they don't want you to own anything anymore. Don't buy a PC, have a cloud PC. You don't need hardware at your house. You can have our servers that we have locked away and that we control in perpetuity. You don't need a laptop. You could get so much work done on your phone, streaming to our cloud and paying for Microsoft 365 Copilot, whatever the fuck we named it this week. Like, you don't need. So it's part of this like larger shift toward trying to like claw back. Not even claw back, because it was never like this to begin with. But trying to like rein in this idea that people have things that are theirs because Microsoft is like tired of that or whatever, for whatever reason, right? And because I don't know, maybe it's because like it's like with like Amazon technically they're a monopoly, but the way they are a monopoly is that they are a storefront, right? they're not a monopoly in the sense that it's the only place. They're the only place that sells the thing, but not necessarily the only place where you can buy the thing or whatever. It's like a small distinction, you know what I mean? As opposed to like, if McDonald's were the only restaurant that sold burgers, that would be like a monopoly. But Amazon is like the only storefront, and it's just the largest one. So it's like, I don't know if Microsoft's idea is like, what if we just changed it to we are the world's server? We're already the world's operating system, but what if we also just owned everybody's PC as well? And then all of a sudden, like, what can we do there? What kind of resources and what kind of subscription services could we get going there? I don't know. But I think this Xbox Cloud thing is maybe a part of that, because Microsoft doesn't give a shit about Xbox, and as far as they can, talk about AI.
Slop.
And we talked about that podcast with like those two guys that were just like that were just. I mean, it was like if there was the god of tech bros, it would be like these two guys in Hades. You picked a boon, and one of them is like, invest in Bitcoin. You just die instantly as Zagreus or whatever. But it was like it would be these guys, collars so popped, hair so coiffed, and they were like ready to invest, bro. And Satya Nadella's up there, and
hair slicked back. Sloppy steaks.
They're making sloppy steaks. They were pieces of shit.
A piece of shit.
Okay. These guys did not deserve a second chance. And Satya Nadella is talking about video games, and he's like, because the console's main competitor is short form video. And of course these guys just, Nadella like flicked their chins and they bubbled their heads up and down for 20 minutes. But of course it's like, no, you don't know anything about video games. You don't know the market. You just know this like catchphrase because you don't have a point of reference when it comes to video games. It's like a larger phenomenon. So if that's the head of the company, then I don't know. I guess I wouldn't put it past Microsoft to be like, you have to do this cloud thing too, because we're doing it with PCs. You got to do it with console, whatever it's called. You have to do it too. I don't know, and that annoys me. But I don't see the cloud as being the future. Now, would people sign up for? Would people use like a free tier? I don't know. Maybe. But like, would you do it?
Playing an hour of video game. Of a video game goes by pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So the feeling of like, I just watched an ad, like, I think that it would get tiring real quick. Also, the fact that if it is quote unquote successful or something they go through with, who's to say in like a year or two they like just like Hulu quietly go, ads are 5 minutes now. Instead of like the 30 seconds it used to be or 15 seconds it used to be.
I'm sure it wouldn't shitify.
But
of course it would. How would it not? That's the whole point of services like
exactly.
This. But like, I think the other thing is
it could be their secretive way of getting people annoyed by the free ad service so that they have to pay for it. Yeah,
just make it as bad as possible.
Yeah.
No, but the other thing I was thinking of was because if I'm just trying to like game it out in my head. Because if this is a thing, if they did this, you didn't have to have a subscription to anything. You could just play an Xbox game over the cloud for free, select games, and if you put up with then essentially what you're doing is you're giving everybody a demo of all the games in this service after a 2 minutes of ads, which is 2 minutes of people browsing Instagram because they're not watching those fucking ads, right? So if you did that, then how many of those people are going to use that just to be like, I don't know if I want to play this game, so I'm going to stream it for a bit. Like, how many of those people exist? I think part of me thinks there's probably more of them than there are. Oh no, my main platform is cloud streaming on the ad tier.
Yeah.
I just don't think there's very many of those people. So yeah. And how many, and like, it's similar to the phenomenon of, I don't know if you guys saw the story where like when a game goes free on Epic, sales spike on Steam.
Yes.
Where because the service is just so much better, people would rather just buy it on Steam than get it for free on Epic. I think part of the reason is Tim Sweeney is trying to justify why we can have generated AI sexual harassment. That's his like big hill to die on at the moment. But In a similar vein, it's like, hey, is it like Microsoft does Steam another solid one by giving all these games free trials, and so sales skyrocket on Steam because everybody's like, oh yeah, I watched 2 minutes of ads, I played 30 minutes of this little indie game I liked, so I went and bought it on Steam, and it's like, okay, so that's all.
It released this week. It's 20% off on Steam.
Exactly. Yeah, it's got the introductory sale number, so all you're gonna do is just direct like people back to the service that is just a better service. I don't know. So when I game it out in my head, I just don't know if, but maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe kids today are weird. They like weird TikTok shit and random numbers. Maybe their brains are like mush enough that they're fine with like playing games with ads rolling. Maybe they think the ads are the games. Maybe they're like, oh man, Geico, there's the guy that crashes cars and says, haha, mayhem. What? Now I have to play an exquisite open world RPG? And so they like play that for an hour. I don't know, but who knows? What do you anything else you guys think?
Well, let me tell you about cloud gaming. It's bad.
Yeah, Connor, you played Starfield cloud gaming.
Oh yeah.
That's really bad.
Yeah.
That's like, it's like, have you ever had arsenic? Yes, and I had an arsenic cake, which is like even worse than normal arsenic. What was your experience like with the?
The only time I've wanted to punch my monitor
oh man,
was sitting in a queue for a single player game, going to the restroom, coming back, timing out of the game to get back and then have to get back in queue.
See, that's real innovation. I want idle kicks like in when you're playing a multiplayer game on a server somewhere. Mm-hmm. If you're idle for the next 2 minutes, you'll get kicked. You know, one of those like annoying server messages. We should have that for single player games.
Yeah,
that's the next step in video games. Yeah, if you step away from Ghost of Yote, you just get kicked out if you haven't moved Atsu for 30 seconds. Yeah, because they're like, oh shit, he's on his phone. Punish him, punish the gamer, punish. He's watching TikTok. Sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry you had to go through that. And it was for
I did it to myself.
Yeah, it was for Starfield too. So, everything in Starfield was streaming?
Yeah.
God, that is a fate worse than death. If you go to hell, the devil's just going to be like, "Now you're good." Like you go back to Earth. It's cool. Like I watched you play Starfield. It's fine.
We got a seat for you.
Yeah.
Big fan of what you did.
The guy that eats sloppy steaks straight to the bottom, straight to the pit, straight where the people are getting eaten alive. Okay. Do we have tidbits?
Yeah, I have a couple.
Let's do tidbits. What if I told you, in this world, there are bits, and there are tids, and Richard is the only man who can put them together into tidbits?
You know, we really, like, when should it just, like, they connect?
I don't know.
There should be...
If you're not watching our exclusive YouTube footage, Richard and Connor do
I feel like it should be like
heart.
At a certain word, or like just there should be a sound effect that goes. That's a lot of work. We'll worry about that later.
Definitely don't want to make
add in there kaboom. Not a sound effect, just the word kaboom.
Okay,
just like
kaboom.
Too much energy.
Oh, sorry, kaboom.
There you go.
I thought this was a slight interesting stat, but Hyrule Warriors: Age of Imprisonment sales top 1 million, proving that the action-based Zelda games aren't bad, and they should make more of them. Not like the Warrior style, but like a little more action-based.
Are they not bad, or do they just sell?
What?
Are they not bad, or do they just sell?
Both.
Okay.
I thought they always did like fairly well. Did they not?
No, they have, yeah. But the Warriors games, the Warriors games are always the same. They're just always the same.
Not to be confused with the game, The Warriors.
Not to be confused with that game, which that game is great. If you ever play it, you should play it. But
I'm gonna lose it on you.
The Warriors. But anyways, the Switch 2 is also just, I think, more successful than people are giving it credit for at the moment. It's like people are buying Switch, but they're not talking about it. Mm-hmm. You know, if that makes sense, because I guess Final Fantasy VII just released yesterday, and apparently is like sold out everywhere. You can't find it.
Okay.
So that's great. That's great to hear. Pocket Pair's CEO Takuro Mizobe recently shared some information on how the company hires new talent over on Twitter. At Pocket Pair, at Pocket Pair, we ask game designer candidates to submit screenshots of their playtime history on Steam. In fact, if you don't play games on Steam at all, you won't make it past the resume screening stage. Apart from the fact that he wants to hire genuine apart from the fact that he wants to hire genuine hardcore gamers as staff, the purpose of this is also to test the candidate's sensibilities as game designers. During interviews, applicants are asked to analyze the most played games in their libraries, which includes breaking down game mechanics and systems, explaining why certain game design choices may have been made, and what distinguishes a specific title from other games in the same genre.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I can understand why there may be some like trepidation around that, because I can remember when Riot was like, but are you a real gamer?
Yeah, sure.
Like, so you can come across condescending and gatekeepy. But
really
at the same time, I think there is like you want to hire people that, kind of know what they're talking about.
And there is that weird thing, because there are people who like, I don't have any good examples. There are people who may not play video games, but they just understand how it works. And they could just be good at it, and good at
like
creating
an administrative side
or something.
Like
So you never know. But I do hear that's also happening with game artists as well. Like at the interview in Japan, they're like, draw something right in front of it. So they make sure it's not AI, like they're not using AI to draw. So that's interesting as well.
If you're looking to get a job there, I'll sell you a screenshot of my Steam.
There you go.
Yeah. My God. Oh my God. This guy's got 14,000 hours in Crusader.
Get him out of here.
That's how they're hiring for the Department of Homeland Security. They're like, hatred, 12,000 hours? Sign this guy.
Hearts of Iron, 4,000 hours?
What do you think ICE's video game select? It's just COD,
Postal.
COD, Madden,
No,
COD,
Postal.
COD, Madden. No, they haven't played Postal. They don't know what Postal is.
They play
Postal
too.
is too,
Honeypot.
like... Postal Dead or Alive, beach volleyball, Dead or Alive, beach volleyball. Like,
Danganronpa.
sorry.
Jesus Christ. Masochism.
Anyway, sorry.
Doki Doki Literature Club.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I'm sure there's games like that. Yeah, there's definitely games like that.
Hello Kitty Island Adventure.
Dad.
You gotta throw a curveball in there. Shower with your dad. Okay, sorry. Hold on. Sorry, I gotta compose myself. All right.
Sorry.
I thought this was interesting. Michael Dowse, the publishing boss over at Baldur's Gate 3 and Larian, said Remedy seemingly went into financial crisis because the studio was forbidden from putting Alan Wake 2 on Steam due to its deal with Epic. There's, of course, no evidence of that specifically happening. It's all just conjecture because Remedy put out their earnings and they were like, hey, we're not doing so hot. So, but anyways, Remedy themselves replied to him on Twitter and basically said there would be no Alan Wake 2 without Epic Publishing. The publishing deal with Epic was very fair to Remedy. While these complex deals can often take even a year to reach their conclusion and may not always be fair to the developer, this one was, and it only took months to get done. Epic Games was and is an excellent partner to us, Steam or no Steam.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm never gonna bemoan developers for doing what they need to do to get their game out. I'm never gonna be like, I hate when people do that. I will say that it did take a while for Alan Wake 2 to break even. And if it launches on Steam simultaneously, I don't know. Is there 1 million people on Steam that haven't played it because they just don't want to deal with Epic?
Yeah,
we
probably.
talked about how there are games that sell on Steam when they go free on Epic because people just don't want to deal with Epic. I'll play games on Epic, sure, but yeah, I do think Steam is the better.
You log into my Epic account more than I do.
Yeah, over the course of the past few years, I have. Yeah, for different reasons.
It's your account at this point.
No, I have my own account with a bunch of free games that I never play.
I forgot what it was called, but I use it on my Steam Deck. But it just took my GOG and Epic account and then put it on one, so it just loads that up and it's all there. And I'm like, this is nice.
Yes,
that's cool.
Which is one of the really good feature. Like Hero, it's like a sword icon or something.
Yeah,
something like that. So yeah, back to the major thing. I'm never gonna like bemoan developers for doing what they need to do to get their game financed. And oftentimes I think if Remedy could put their game out on Steam and have that same deal, they would take that. But they're not in the position, they don't have the leverage there, right? So they can't negotiate that. I'm sure they would like their game to be on Steam, but they're not going to be able to decide that. So it's between game or no game, whatever. Anyway, Richard.
That's all. That's all for tidbits.
Sorry, Connor, were you going to say something?
No.
Okay. Follow us, youtube.com/Gaming Discourse, patreon.com/The Gaming Discourse. We will see you next week.
Bye. Take care of each other.